Hello there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made you you and made us us. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alex.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John. Yes, our movie for the week is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Original release December 25th, 1993, a Christmas Day release, and it was a flop, famously. Mostly because the theatrical release was very late in development. But
So,
to Hmm?
I was going to ask why you picked it.
so this is more of a meta choice. So when I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, when we decided on doing this podcast, I was like, I made a list of everything Toonami had ever shown, everything kind of network have shown. It's a big list. But what surprised me was how much Batman there was on the Toonami side. I remember loving the animated series. I'm a massive Harley Quinn fan. So, but I would just, if you'd have told me before I made that list, name a Toonami show, I wouldn't have said Batman. It wouldn't be the first one that came to my head.
It was a cheap license because obviously Warner Brothers made Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
Batman also, or Warner Brothers also owns Cartoon Network. Bada bing!
Bada bing, bada boom, realest guys in the room. I do have a very specific memory associated with this film though, and that is I was with my mother in a shop called Pound Stretch, a big Dollar General, and they had action figures. And this must have been before the movie came out because they had a figure of the leading lady available. She came with the Phantasm hood.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. And in the box, it had her name, and she was like the hood was the accessory. So I remember watching this
oh
film for the
my.
first time, going, I wonder who this fan. Oh wait, oh, it's going to be her. Oh, I got spoiled by the toy.
Well, yeah, and if you look at the movie, there's only so many characters it could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big surprise, but it was still one of the first times I remember being like, oh, the action figure just told me who the person was. Like I've never been
Yeah.
spoiled in that way specifically before.
It's yeah, there's only so many new characters in Mask of the Phantasm to the point where I was like, oh, was that supposed to be a mystery? Who, who the Phantasm was? Oh, it's Andre. It's clearly Andrea
I
Beaumont.
mean, it's her or her dad, and then you realize her dad hasn't been around for very much, and like he's not really in this film. And he was like what in his 40s in the
yeah.
in the flashbacks. So unless it's like the
Minimum.
Phantasms in his like 70s.
Yeah, at minimum, he's in his 40s in the early scenes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see Phantasm in theaters. I like I guess summer of '94, a friend of mine on my street had it on VHS, I think as a rental or something. And so I watched it, and yeah, I mean, they really not significantly, not exponentially, but I remember it being a more mature experience. Like you see the Joker bleed and lose a tooth, and like, people die. Like it's coming off the animated series, which was still running at the time. It was like, oh, we're playing for all the marbles now. Okay, all right.
Definitely
Cool.
more introspective than you'd expect for a Batman film. Like, I remember this film being slower than the other Batman stuff, but I'd forgotten just how slow it is. Like we spend a good chunk of the film in flashback
Yeah.
to young Bruce.
It it's interesting because I actually remember seeing this in the theater with my dad. It's like a very early memory for me because like going to I think with the exception of some more modern stuff, me and my dad went to see basically every superhero movie that ever came out in a movie theater from the time I was born to the time I moved out of my parents' house. Like, and this is, I believe, the first one. And I remember as a little kid not getting all of it, but as I got older and we watched it, like finding it kind of to be one of the best Batman movies, period.
Yeah, I concur. I think it's, Warner Brothers, at least for a while, would consistently pump out like at least one new DC animated movie, really like quarterly. But this for me is still the pinnacle of their animated features, more so than like their Dark Knight Returns adaptation or Under the Red Hood or any of that stuff. Yeah, this one for me is one of the best. A lot of the nuance was lost on me as a kid in 1994 because I was like, like 8, but um I remember, going back and like the most devastating scene maybe in the entire Batman the Animated Series era, um not counting like Tim Drake getting tortured, is is probably there's that scene where Bruce is at his parents' graves and he's just like, look, I didn't count on being happy, And then you think about it and you're like, oh, this guy from an early age just like, this personal life doesn't exist anymore. It's just being Batman. And it's a heartbreaking scene. It's the idea that he sees happiness as being a hindrance to his mission.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You would go back to that when they did the Batman Gets Married storyline a couple of years ago. That was the point of the Joker's whole arc. There was basically riffing on Phantasm by saying he can't be Batman and be happy, so I've got to kill his wife.
I mean, the thing that, Batman the animated series as a whole does extremely well is that it captures this character of Batman and also Bruce Wayne in a way that I think most modern adaptations lose a lot of the subtlety of his character a lot. And I part of that is Kevin Conroy and him just acting for the rafters, which he has always done in this role. But I think the thing that Batman the Animated Series has always done and is even captured in this movie is that there's a humanity to Batman that he still can't shed despite wanting to in a lot of ways.
Well, like you remember, like one of my favorite episodes of the animated series is the one with Harley Quinn where he buys her the dress,
Yeah.
and they had to think of guys like you shouldn't have bad days, and it's like for a kid show at the time that was surprisingly nuanced. I also just want to bring up this isn't just us. This is film has been praised by a lot of people. Famously, Siskel and Ebert in their show said they regretted not seeing it in cinemas and broke their usual rules and got the home video and reviewed it very highly. And Robert Patterson on the trail for Batman 2022 had a really nice quote about it. Let me just pull it. Let me just quickly. Gosh. Yeah, he said that I sincerely believe that the tone of the Batman has nothing to do with the old movies. It feels new. In the comics, Batman is someone more unstable. If you read between the lines, it's actually very sad, whereas in the cinema, it's always the heroic side that's put forward. The Batman does the opposite. We capture the inner bubble of the character. In my opinion, the only other to achieve this is the animated film Batman Mark of the Phantasm. When I saw it, it clicked. Being Batman is kind of a curse. It's a burden. But hey, man, you decided that, right? No, no, I have to be Batman. I was chosen, not the other way around. I don't think we've ever really seen that in the films.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think there's a lot in Batman the Animated Series that you can kind of directly attribute to Denny O'Neil's revitalization of the character when he took over writing it. Like there's a Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, there's a genuine talent when it comes to Batman the Animated Series and Mask of the Phantasm. And like this is stuff that has been said before. Like people have praised the series up and down for years. Like you can point to so many different episodes like Baby Doll. You can talk about Heart of Ice. There's so many episodes that you can point to and be like, what a masterpiece. But Mask of the Phantasm really is that energy distilled down into like this very crystalline, perfect form.
Yeah, I mean, it also gives us the backstory that the animated series never gives us. The only um flashback heavy episode we really get of the animated series, at least in terms of kind of backstory and origin, is Robin's Reckoning, which
Yeah.
explores Dick Grayson's and I guess Old Wounds, which explores that subsequent rift. Um, but yeah, I mean, we get a lot of college age Bruce, rocking the sweaters. Like I always love the Art Deco kind of fashion and impossibly like long and rectangular Batmobile and everything. Um, there's a lot of Akira kind of sensibilities with Gotham City's designs. Something that they get to just fully embrace in Batman Beyond. It's like, oh, we can do cyberpunk Batman now. Awesome. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's just
I
a
love the visual style of the animated series. It's that kind of Art Deco, neo Gothic thing going on. I think that's part of the reason it's dated so well is that it's almost like every era of Batman at once. Like it's calling back to the original 40s stuff. It's got a very 90s sensibility, but it's not set at a particular time, so they can introduce technology however they feel like and have things work however they need to when they need to. As we see that this episode, there's some very interesting mixes of technology here.
It was always fast and loose. It was always interesting whenever Batman would cross over with Superman in the animated series or would show up in like Justice League because it's like, you're on a space station right now. And you still have like a 40s-esque supercomputer in the back cave.
it
It does make you think that Gotham is just this weird, like Superman's like, Metropolis, home of all these lovely stuff, and he goes to Gotham, and it's like, why am I suddenly in 1942?
it's so interesting too because like Amazon had that series Cape Crusader, which there are a lot of good parts of it, and it leans very heavily into that aesthetic, but it doesn't feel as timeless
Mhm.
as what they do in the animated series and in Mask of the Phantasm. And like the other thing that I genuinely enjoy, especially about Mask of the Phantasm, is we put so much effort on Batman the detective and not Batman the dude who punches PhD students in the street. Like
Yeah.
I like that, and I think that that's man. I'm gonna get into some controversial statements if I talk about live action Batman movies, and people are gonna not like my opinions on a lot of live action Batman movies. But I think that in the pursuit of making this character such a cash grab, and he is, there is so much of what makes him interesting has been lost in the last 3 decades. Like I think that it's I struggle to find something that compares with Mask of the Phantasm.
It's funny you mentioned that because a few parts of this film, I'm vaguely obsessed with the original Batman movie serials.
Mm.
I love
Um,
those. I love them so
Why part
much.
of the reason I love them is because they're at that point where some of the mythology is there, but not all of it. So you get stuff like he's still the world's greatest detective, but doesn't have gadgets. So he's like, I need to break into this man's base. How shall I do it? I will throw a brick through the window. You're a genius, Bruce. It's
Yeah.
so weird. And as you get this thing of the early days Batman here, I love how they still sort of have that to him, where he's like, he hasn't made batarangs yet. He's just got normal throwing stars. He's like, he wants to break a tower. How does he do it? Well, he just punches through the windscreen. It's it makes the early days feel like this very logical development of how he ended up here. I think that's a big thing of a lot of stuff that tries to do the Batman origin now has the thing of like, I bats, people will be scared of bats, and they don't really justify that in a way that feels logical. Here, it feels like Batman is a an evolution of a series of steps.
Yeah, I love the scene where he's like got rough sketches of what his costume should look like. Like he's got a very Space Ghost-esque cowl at one
And
point.
and a lot of that is shout outs to early Batman designs too, which is so clever. Like that, I love that.
I did lose it a little bit. I was like, he's drawn Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Coast to coast, he's gonna get a talk show.
Cape, no cape, points, no points. Just like I just don't know. Like he just angrily punches.
Also, talking of characters, the Joker in this, they
Ah,
make him that I will say that scene with the fear toxin, not the fear toxin, laughter toxin, that he gives
laughing
the
gas.
councilman. How they handle that is even me as an adult now who is old and those cartoons aren't real, felt creeped out by that. Like how they animated it, how he was trying to talk. Is like that is just something about it is very unsettling. I think they nailed that idea of being locked in your body but being unable to control it. That is very visceral horror.
I would challenge anyone to find me a better version of the Joker than exists in the animated series universe. I don't think it exists. Like I'm gonna be very real with, and there are a lot of really good iterations of this character. There are great iterations in the comics. There are great like Emperor Joker storyline, one of the best Joker storylines. There's a lot of really great stuff with this character. I do not think that they are better than Hamill's Joker. And maybe it's because of my age, maybe it's because of how I grew up, but I struggle to think of one that's better.
I'm friends with just gonna name drop. I'm friends with like Scott Snyder and like yeah, I mean he's his one of his favorite Batman stories of all time in any medium is Return of the Joker. Because yeah, there's something about that animated series Joker that toes the line of being sinister, but not necessarily like there are some like overly dark Joker stories where you're just like, okay, buddy, okay, I get it. But like with this and like with what Mark Hamill and Paul Dini and Bruce Timm do, it's like that perfect balance. And with Mask of the Phantasm, they're allowed to make him more sinister than he ever was on the animated series. It's also this, to John's point, that moment, it's the first time where you kind of get a feeling how painful Joker Toxin is, where
Yeah.
he's like laughing but crying in pain in the hospital bed and stuff. It's like, oh, this sucks. Like you don't want this,
I
you know?
I also really like how this film especially handles the Joker as a chaotic force. in that they kind of nail. I think a lot of things say, "Oh, Joker, he's crazy," and just have him do whatever. Here, you can tell there is an internal logic that makes sense to him, even if you can't understand that logic. But you can tell that in that moment he feels he is perfectly right, and that is infinitely more terrifying than I do random things for fun. It is he has a plan. It just doesn't make sense.
This is very much not your hot topic Joker, as I like to think of it. Like, the guys at Hot Topic who pick up the Joker and Harley Quinn shirt because they think it's oh so romantic. It's like you're missing the point. Like there's a lot more in, like, especially Mask of the Phantasm. Like when you like remembering that scene with the Joker gas and how visceral it is, that is it is really spooky, even as an adult. Like there's a lot that they're able to do with these characters that I don't know if other series have been brave enough to do it in a long time.
What do you think of, very famously, Alan Moore and Brian Boland made the Joker just a failed stand-up comedian who tries to become a crook and it all goes wrong. What do you think of the Joker being, and this is something they took cues from the 89 film, but ran with. What do you think of the Joker being a mob hitman before he becomes the Joker?
I like that. I will admit I found the reveal where Batman just scrawls a face on a guy quite
Yeah.
because like Bruce, you could have done that to any of them and it would have looked pretty much the same.
Fine,
Um,
yeah.
just, but I do like that. I think it speaks to something the animated series had going on of the Batman is as much of a cause as he is a solution. In that all he has done by fighting these gangsters has made these new brand of criminals come up who are worse. I like that. I can see why people may not like the Joker having such a normal start. Because I will say that him sort of wolf whistling girls while they go past, it felt a bit nah. But I like how overall it's handled.
I think on my side of it, I actually kind of prefer a normal background Joker because like that is the thing that Alan Moore points out. It's one bad day that separates you from me. And I think that when you have these more quote unquote extraordinary circumstances, then it's not just one bad day that really separates you. Some cosmic twist of fate has turned things really upside down. But when you have somebody who, granted, he's still a bad guy, he's still a crook. When you have it that this just random happenstance is what sets your life on this insane course that now the only thing you're afraid of is bats and the IRS. Like, yeah, I gravitate more to that kind of stuff, and I think that that's something that DC kind of lost a lot of in at least in the
Well,
last 15
yeah, I mean, like Scott famously made in Zero Year made the Joker the head of the Red Hood gang. Made him
years.
his idea was like Joker was always a bad guy. It's just let him embrace his worst self. Um I like the it's interesting when you go back and watch early episodes of Batman the Animated Series, they keep the Jack Napier
Yeah,
alias from the 89 film, and then by like season two or three, they're like, identity unknown. Like we're not connected to the Tim Burton verse anymore. Um, Even though our Penguin and Catwoman still look vaguely the same.
God,
But
I love that penguin so much. The animated series penguin is so freaking good. Like probably
until
the
they
best version
redesign
of
them
it.
with new Batman adventures.
Yeah, yeah. But
Oh
they
Uh,
do
man.
such a good Birds of a Feather is such a good episode. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, no, it's interesting seeing, and for me, like the one of the definitive scenes of Jokerdom in this is like when they're fighting in the World's Fair Gotham recreation, and Joker is, Phantasm's got him by the throat, everything's literally on fire, and all he can do is laugh.
Yeah.
For him, it's like perfect. This is what I was going for. Thank you. Yeah, I might be burned to a crisp here. You might slash me to ribbons, but this is great. Thank you for this. You know.
Yep.
There Oh, go ahead.
No, no, that's great. That it's a really good scene. It just works so well.
I not to harp too much on the Joker, but I do want to point this out. The one thing that the animated series does very well, and especially here, is that they don't mistake nihilism for a personality trait with the Joker. And I really do appreciate that because the Joker does have a sort of cosmic nihilism to him that is a core piece of the character, but a lot of later interpretations don't handle that with the kind of subtle entropy that it really needs to read. So having that scene where he is literally about to die and he is laughing in her clutches is, and they don't turn it into something, they don't do a monologue about it, they don't make this whole big thing of it, it just they let it land. And I think that for a kids movie, there is so much great subtle acting that goes through it with these characters that is so genuinely impressive.
Yeah, I also kind of I really like the Phantasm costume in that it is terrible and edgy. I really like that about it, in that I think it speaks a lot to the character underneath, in that it's not Bruce, who we've seen like build this very specific persona for a very specific reason. This is someone who's on a just a rampage of revenge and are just tacking a knife onto their hand because that's what I'm going to do. I think it really speaks to like her heart isn't in it in the same way Bruce is his heart and his head is in this Batman persona, where everything is for this reason.
Well, and I think, one of the influences behind Mask of the Phantasm was Batman Year Two by Mike O'Barr and uh, Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane was one of the big artists on that. And
This is Todd McFarlane costume, boy.
yeah, it's, they
It
take
kind of
on
is.
the villain in that piece is the Reaper. And yeah, it has I think it's a hook hand, like I Know What You Did Last Summer status, as opposed to claw hands like Vega.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you can see a lot of those influences there. Phantasm's great. Phantasm, with the voice modulator and the smoke machine, which I suppose Andrea keeps like on her belt or
Yeah.
something. Just kind of like really sells this kind of more like, if Batman proclaims in the very first episode that he is vengeance, he is the knight, it's like it's the Phantasm that gives him a run for his money on what vengeance really is.
And
Also, want to point out the action figure I saw as a kid gave the Phantasm a gun, which I always found very, very amusing. Just gave this just massive rifle. It's like, yes, the Phantasm gun.
like I have a lot of big feelings about Batman the Animated Series and about this movie and about the DCAU in general. Like this is such a formative series and set of series for me really that really affected my interaction with comic books and superheroes in general. Like this was my gold standard for such a long time, and it still really is. I I watching this movie again for the first time in a long time really brought back a lot of those feelings for me because even as an adult, you can still feel it. You can still get that kind of awe and the energy that goes into it. And my God, what Warner Brothers was doing in their animated series with music at the time, just brilliant up and down. Like the soundtrack in this is so good.
And we have to name drop specifically all credit to Shirley Walker, who composed the score to this film. Because yeah, it's very operatic and bombastic, and it really takes what the animated series did and kind of like dials it up. The idea that they had to suddenly pivot from a home video release to a theatrical release has got to be bananas. They were like, no, no, let's up everything, guys. Let's up the aspect ratios, up the score. It's fantastic.
It's funny, what the soundtrack reminds me of is early sci-fi films like Metropolis. It has that kind of early horror sci-fi feel, which I think really works for this. Because again, I think that something the animated series does very well is it also portrays Batman as a bit of a horror. Batman isn't a thing you should be aiming to become. He is a monster in his own way. Just thankfully, the monster is who's doing good. I think they kind of tap into that here. It's really good.
100%. And a lot of that's down to Kevin Conroy too.
Oh,
Fantastic. That's one of the big bummers. I never got an interview. I've interviewed a lot of people in the DCAU or involved in the DCAU. Never got, never got Conroy.
I got the
yeah.
joy, the genuine privilege to meet Kevin Conroy twice in my life, both of them at New York Comic Con. And I still remember the last time I met him. He was so sweet and so generous with his time. Like I didn't have the money to pay for a selfie, but just took he saw that he was at the end of his line. He's like, let's just take the selfie together, just be in the picture with me. We're gonna have a good time. And it he and as a New Yorker too, like Kevin Conroy is so much a part of the fabric of this city now that it's impossible to quantify what what he was as not just as like our generation's Batman, but just as a person.
Does it throw you off to hear? Because I'm hearing and seeing interviews with him. It's not that far off from his Batman voice. Did it throw you off like hearing just kind of like hearing that?
A little bit. Like it threw me off the first time because the first time I met him, I was dressed as Blue Beetle, and he was one of the only people at that New York Comic Con that really knew that I was Ted Cord. And he called me over to tell me how much he liked my costume, but at first I was like Batman, and then it's like, no, that's just how you talk. It really threw me at 15, that threw me off really hard.
Honestly, I think that's a big reason why he works so well in the role, though. I think a lot of Batman actors try and have a Batman voice, and what it loses is your ability to do that very human dialogue. And Conroy's Batman was in a range where you could hear him be intimidating, but he could also show vulnerability. He could also show fear or shyness through his voice. And you see that a lot in the animated series. You can see that moment often where it's like that boundary between Batman and Bruce Wayne is not hard. It's very, very floaty. And yeah, he's a Batman who could show doubt, which makes him so much more interesting to watch than sort of the modern absolute, I am big tank man, I will smack Joker in face kind
Yeah.
of Batman.
I never like overly growly voice. Like I love the Batman Begins trilogy um quite a bit, a lot actually, but I never like overly growly voiced Batman. I like I like to just like you maybe drop your register by like maybe an octave or a half. And it's just like, okay, it's Batman time. Or you get Adam West who doesn't change his voice at all.
But he's
God, I
Adam
love
West,
me
so he can get away with it.
when
Yeah.
Adam West getting to be the Gray Ghost. That probably one of the
Oh,
It's one of my
best
favorite
moments.
episodes. One of
I,
my favorite episodes of
that
the
was so
entire.
good.
Yeah.
like, but back to the movie.
So
The Phantasm herself is great.
Yeah.
she's really good.
Yeah.
Uh, just really well done. She's very lucky though that she keeps ending up in places where gangsters easily kill themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, what luck that that gravestone was just the right size to hit someone in the grave,
Yeah.
or unless she dug it herself.
True. It's like, yeah, it's like rectangular. Like it's perfectly perfectly balanced. Just push it.
Well,
As
I said,
all things should be.
then she's lucky because the other guy just drove off the edge of a very weak car park.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh.
to be fair to that, you got to think in there thinking that was just a matter of time before that accident happened if it can go through that easily.
Well, it's also a matter of like, yes, this is a movie. Yes, you can get away with killing characters and showing blood and stuff, but let's not go too hard. Though getting crushed by a gravestone in the when you think about the anatomical implications of it, you're like, oh, that sucks.
It's it's the
So
it's the
PG.
the old thing. We can have violence, but it can't be imitatable by the viewers. So you
Yeah.
can have like that horrific car crash. You can have the horrific crushing because kids can't recreate that at home. So it's technically okay.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what Jack Napier does to Andrea's mom or dad. We just know he does something.
Yeah.
Yes, which is infinitely more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a lot scarier to not know. Like it's the Jaws principle. The reason why the shark is so scary is because the animatronic freaked out and we can't see the shark for until the very end. Like that's such a when Batman does horror, it's the best version of Batman. Like horror noir Batman is best Batman. Like that's
Oh,
my personal opinion.
Just
just
all both capital B's, best Batman.
Evie, best
get a little
Batman.
trophy.
Yeah.
Just before we round up, so I ended up watching a TV rip of this from the preview on January 8th, 1999. And thank you, Toonami, for ruining the Joker's reveal by showing it in the bumper. They cutting in and out
Oh
of
yeah.
breaks, they would always show stuff from the next bit. So I had half the film spoiled for.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very, very annoying. But I also quite like because it was 1999, so Toonami's branding was all Toonami 1999 because the millennium is coming, and that was such a big thing. I
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
did get some ads, which I shared some of them with you, One of my personal favorites is an advert for a shampoo called Pert Plus, where the advert was just a man antagonizing women on the street demanding to wash their hair.
I like
Which,
Purple. I love Purple.
okay, the advert put me off for life because it was just a very 90s man saying, "Can I wash your hair?"
My
My,
mom used to use that shampoo.
my grandmother's shampoo of choice, Per Plus.
Look, all
So
I'm gonna
whenever I
say is
went,
that if we need a new live action Joker, that man may be up for it. He's very good. And I also learned that there was an album of Scooby Doo songs called Scooby Doo Snack Tracks, which is
yeah,
going to be a future episode. Going to be a future episode because, like, oh, this is a very funny joke, very good cutter. Oh, available at Best Buy. Okay, it's not a joke; it's actually an album. So that
nope.
to
Yeah.
eBay I go once this episode is over. And my personal favorite, which I did share with you all, an advert from the Children's Safety Council telling you to wear a helmet, featuring Chuck E. Cheese as rotoscoped by a lunatic.
You mean Charles Entertainment Cheese?
Look, I understand why his parents left him if he moves. It's the most inhuman movement of a character I've ever seen. It's like they kind of got a guy in the office, just move, and we'll draw the mouse over you.
This
Certainly,
is why Five Nights at Freddy's exists.
yes, but he's scarier than any of them. So yes,
Even cheap. But I also like that at the time Toonami / Adult Swim was advertising season 5 of Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
yes,
Yeah.
So
I
you'd
got
see those, and you'd with Space Ghost like in like network meetings and stuff, just being like, "What are we doing here, guys?"
what I really love
What are we
about
doing here,
the
guys?
promo is it cuts to Space Ghost from the back in front of a fireplace, and he does like a little monologue. But because I was making notes at the time, I thought Batman was back for a brief second. I was like, "Oh, well, here, back on." There's like, "How do I work in front of the camera?" I'm like, "Wait, that doesn't sound like." Oh, it's Space Ghost!
Space Ghost.
Yay!
Everyone's
We do
favorite.
love Space Ghost.
I also, it's just so funny to see him promoted now. Also, it was also amusing for me that they were promoting another Batman film called Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
Have either of you seen that film?
I've seen it. I've
Is
seen
it
it a
any
bunch of
good?
times.
Is it any good?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
I came out right around the same time as or right after Batman and Robin, which
Yeah.
also of course features Mr. Freeze as the primary antagonist. And I remember just being like, "Oh, Sub-Zero is clearly the better Mr. Freeze movie."
Okay,
It
because
also
the
had
pro.
some dope toys at McDonald's, and I had those dope toys.
Ooh, okay, because the promo they used for it just made it look really bad.
No,
Well,
it's really good.
the thing about like after Mask of the Phantasm, the two DCAU Batman movies, which is to say Sub-Zero, I guess there's three. There's Sub-Zero, there's Return of the Joker, and there's Mystery of the Batwoman.
Yeah.
Like Mystery of the Batwoman and Sub-Zero really just kind of feel like extended episodes from the animated series because they didn't suddenly get the call to upconvert to the theatrical aspect ratio. Um, but we love the animated series here, guys. We're
That
like,
that that comment about it not being a long episode does make sense because that's what I got from the preview. It just looked like generic shots from any other animated series episodes. It's like, oh, it's especially weird showing this off like coming after Phantasm. It's like, oh, here's this really beautiful Godzilla, and it's like, here's Mr. Freeze firing his gun. It's like, oh,
and I'm sure it was kind of a cross promotional thing because again, Warner Brothers,
yeah.
cross promotion, synergy. Yeah, it's like,
Sell
hey,
those toys, sell those
yeah,
toys.
that's probably why they were like, Mask of the Phantasm, let's pop this on. We've got a Toonami block. Let's just do this.
I mean, it was the Friday night film. We'll say it. That was the running. The next Friday night film is going to be Sub-Zero,
Yeah.
which makes sense because this was also their big film of the week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So easy licensing move. Easy licensing and marketing move.
It's always just fun going back to these TV recordings. I see these things like I just didn't remember this ever being a thing.
Oh yeah. No, it's Sub-Zero's fine. Sub-Zero's fine. It
Yeah.
gives it does something with Mr. Freeze that Batman Beyond then immediately shits on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that just the cycle of comics though? We have a good plot, then we just immediately wreck on it.
Yeah. So you got that
Or
kind
or in other things in comics, you have a really, really bad plot that nobody is ever going to let go of ever.
Yeah.
Yes,
Look
we'll
at
keep
you one more day.
we'll look at you, Batman who laughs. We'll keep driving you into the ground.
Sell those toys.
Made a lot of money, guys. Made a lot of money.
Made a lot of money. But
Scott made a lot of money, guys.
Yeah.
the Batman who laughed, also known as the executive C-suit who laughed while
Yeah.
walking to the bank.
All the way to the bank.
I'm gonna say I had a great time with this film. It was I think that's probably the mark of a really good film for me is the fact I was watching this on a low quality TV rip with adverts and all, and I still had as good of a time as I had when I watched the DVD version,
Yeah,
which is just amazing. It still felt as ground. I think you could say that if Phantasm came out today, I think it would still review very very well.
I do too.
Like it's, and I think that's the hallmark of a really good movie.
Yeah, 100%. Any
Like
last thoughts before we set this one to bed?
I
I
do like the fact that Gotham World's Fair is a blatant rip-off of Disneyland. It's even the three Disneyland World's Fair attractions. That was a cute little touch from someone in marketing.
Alex, you got anything?
I just I just love me some Batman. I love this movie. I love getting to go on this specific nostalgia trip because of how big this movie was. And I'm always happy to hear Kevin Conroy's voice. Like it always sparks joy in me. What about you, Sam?
It's for me, it's one of the pinnacles of DC original animation. It's one of the best Batman movies in any medium. Um, yeah, it's the animated series completely unfettered. Keep your period piece setting, go deeper and more emotional with the characters, take your time with the storytelling, and make the Joker scary as hell. Perfect, perfect, perfect.
Go watch it. Just go
Oh
watch
yeah,
it. And
this is
since
a recommendation effectively.
yeah, this is effectively a recommendation. And since we've pulled into our final destination and it is time to disembark from Toonami Absolution, it is a perfect time to go pick up Batman Mask of the Phantasm to watch it for yourself. So, thank you so much for talking with us tonight. We have such a great time talking with you about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx,
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
and we'll see you next time. Bang.